Full disclosure, I've been editing this in between shooting scenes, or parts of it, and while editing, I realized I do this thing. I don't know if I can control that. It's, uh, it's rather tough to fix in post because it shows up like right on the heels of my words. Try your best to ignore that anyway, I guess I'll see if I can keep that in check. I don't want to go through the what I think would be a time consuming process of cutting that really teeny tiny thing out. Here's a preview of what's coming up on More Layers. Seems like an irony the more I think of it. Behavior like that contradicts the values of any decent business. All that and more starting now. Hey everyone, Seth Mariano here. If you're watching this on video, you notice that there's no headset on my head, and that's because it's just me today because Jordan has a guest from family. So today, it's just me. Won't be quite the same probably, but I'll try. So today is Saturday, June the 12th, and at least in New York State it looks like things are progressing with the COVID thing. Probably most everyone in the state has gotten their shots. You don't have to wear masks as much anymore, I don't think. Though in the school where I do most of my work, or in the district where I work, they still require masks when you're around people or in the hall or something. So we're not quite there yet, but I think we're closer than we are further. So now, before we dive into the big topic of the day, I thought I would play a little game. And you can play along with it if you'd like. So here's how the game works. I've got a random word generator website pulled up on my phone, and I am going to hit the button to generate a random word, and I will try to list in a minute as many titles, movies, shows, songs that I can that include that word. I was going to do this on my computer, but it was having some kind of stubborn problem loading, so I've got it up on my phone instead. Okay, let's see which word we get first. And all of these words will be less than 6 letters long. All right, I've got my phone on. I've got the website pulled up here, and the first word will be. Hang on a second. I'm gonna click to the stopwatch or timer, I should say here. And the word is start. Drawing a blank here. Well, at least I got somewhere. Okay, well, I got 2. Let's try another one. Build. Well, again, I got started. I was gonna say to build a fire, but well, that I don't know if that's any of the things that I said it had to be. Okay, nothing. I got one. Okay, next one. And I'm putting it on my lap so I have to pick it up off the bed again. Okay, next one. Form. Got nothing. Is there anything? I don't know if there is anything I can put down. Still nothing. Well, got two in the first round, one in the second, and zero in the last one, so it's been a continuously downward slope so far. Let's see if that changes with the next one. Pot. Pot. Huh. I don't know. Alright. Let's see if the next one's easier. Feed. Well, there's one. Yeah. Awkward lulls, but uh, I guess I'm not good at lulls, but pretty much everything else is spliced and lulls are kept to a minimum in post for things other than things like this. So I got one. Okay, maybe one, two more. Let's see what the next one is. Folk. Again, I've got one and then it lags. Looking for folk. Okay, if the next one's not much better, I guess we'll stop. All right. Next one. Total. All right, had a peek round there, got three. All right, up for another one. Coal. Nothing else so far. Okay, I think that was harder than I expected. Maybe if I do this again, I'll set it to less than 5 letters. So, now for anyone who's curious, these are the answers that I got. Can you see that? I'm gonna open the app to make sure. I see it's backwards, so I guess I'll just read it to you. Start All Over by Miley Cyrus. Start of Something New from High School Musical. Build My Life, popular church song. Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins. Queer as Folk, Total Recall, Total Request Live, Total Wipeout, that's like the British version of Wipeout, and Coal Miner's Daughter. Alright, so not the worst. Okay, let's move on to our big topic of the day. And this is one that's been on my list that Jordan might have seen, but didn't say that he liked. But I just decided, I wanted to do a topic that I was open to, but Jordan hadn't said that he liked. So I wanted to save the ones that he liked for when we both were available. Anyway, today I'm talking about when to ban and not ban. Does it ever feel like we're in a society that says one strike and you're out? Or a society that blows technically innocent stuff out of proportion? Some situations may call for a ban or a firing or something like that, but when does a situation call for that? Or when is an offense really that big a deal? I'm gonna pretty much talk about stuff like that today. So I'm gonna start with the story of Catherine Webb. By now, a lot of you have probably forgotten about it, but if the name Catherine Webb is mentioned, it probably comes back fresh in your head, maybe. So, I think it was back in 2013, during the College Football National Championship. She was in the stands supporting her boyfriend who was playing, and she appeared on screen, and the play-by-play commentator, Brent Musburger, said stuff like, Like, she's beautiful, she's lovely. You want a lady like that? You better play good. Stuff like that. And a bunch of people who heard this, naturally, I guess, got upset by it. It was reported that some people suggested that he should be fired for it, maybe never allowed to work in sportscasting again because of it. And I didn't know this until I started researching, or until I researched for this episode. But this wasn't the first time that Musburger said something controversial, at least politically speaking. He made some similar comments, apparently, about a player's girlfriend, somebody else, some lady like that. I guess they focused on her, and he said, 1,500 people just applied to this school because of this lady. I don't know if Musburger ever got a warning after either moment, which I think at least after the first time, that would have probably been the response, the appropriate response to take. To say, hey, if you are heard saying stuff like that or going on like that, it might rub some people or some girls the wrong way. I don't know if his supervision or whatever over him ever did anything like that, give a warning, be careful, that kind of thing. But I think it probably would have made sense to do that, at least after the first time. Well, when the Catherine Webb controversy, I guess you could say, boiled up, Webb appeared on, I think it was the Today Show, and she was asked what she thought about all this. And this is something that I don't think is done enough. I think too often people try to speak for the person without even asking how they feel or anything. I think there's this trend of in the words of John Crist, getting offended on behalf of people who aren't offended. Or to sort of put it into my words, I guess, getting offended on behalf of people you don't even know are offended or not. Anyway, Webb was asked about this, and she said, it didn't bother me at all. I think people have been too hard on him. I thought it was nice. Now, I will say that Musburger's comments may have been dangerous, and considering that he did that at least twice, makes me kind of think he probably should have undergone some sensitivity training, or at least been warned, or at least he should try to be more careful. I don't know. Let's move on to, I guess you could say, a touchy example. Former President Donald Trump. I personally have never been that big a fan of him. So, you might have heard recently Twitter banned him for good. And there's a link that explains the decision process from the Twitter blog page, and I'll put a link to that in the description. And I guess to sum it up, they came to the decision that since he had made a number of, I guess, dangerously questionable comments in the recent past leading up to that time on Twitter, and considering the situation that had gone on with the attack on the Capitol after Biden had been declared the winner of the election, they ultimately came to the decision that he can't be on the site anymore. He's too dangerous. Well, not because of emotion or anything, but it's just hard for me to organize some really clear, verbalized thoughts on it, so I'll just let you read the link. Next, the story of Billy Bush, whom, as you may know by now, is now hard at work on the tabloid show Extra. When that Access Hollywood video leaked, not only did it put Donald Trump in hot water, but Billy Bush as well, who was the one in the conversation with him that was recorded on that video. When I first heard about Bush getting punished for this, my thought was, what did he do wrong? Or he didn't do anything, or something like that. But just now I read more about it, and It says that he also made one comment during that conversation that was, I guess you can just say, real unprofessional and obscene, I guess. Probably not with any bad intention or anything, just, maybe he just meant it to be funny, but I don't think it was cool. Though, to be clear, for the record, he did apologize. He said, there is no excuse for what I did or what I said, but I was young, I wasn't as bright back then. I'm real sorry. And thinking of it now, I think it's ironic that he apologized and then lost his Today Show job, but Trump never apologized, and he still got to be president and avoid impeachment. Seems like an irony the more I think of it. Maybe that's a discussion for another day. I at least got to give Bush credit for showing repentance and not just saying it's no big deal and or acting like it wasn't. I guess hopefully hopefully he's more careful these days, or will be more and more careful. And I'm glad for him that that wasn't the death of his career. Let's wrap up with a discussion of an example that most everyone would probably agree on. The case of Matt Lauer. I don't know where he's since been, what he's been doing. And please, I don't want to hear any jokes about that. Prior to researching, I did know one colleague commented about him touching her a lot. I'll just say in a way that he should never. I stumbled across a video once of him checking a woman out, right on camera. I don't think it looks subtle at all. If my research is correct, he repeatedly locked women in a room with him and raped them or something. And once or so, the person gave in, out of concern about protecting their career, which you could probably say is classic quid pro quo. And I think if you think about it, if someone is being so pushy like that, how can they predict what they're going to do to them? They could get badly injured without warning. It can be uncomfortable. And probably the worst thing about it is he was married. He had made a commitment, a promise to one woman to stay true to her, that kind of thing, and he broke that. I don't think anyone should have to be afraid of going back to work, being nervous or scared to death that a certain colleague might do something that could hurt them or something. And thinking about that clip I saw, Lauer comes off as a dangerously impulsive person, not adequately disciplined, psychologically, behaviorally. Maybe he's getting therapy or counseling now. If not, he probably should. And maybe a lot of it before he ever goes back into the workforce, if any time. If that ever happens. At least for now, him being unemployed, if he still is, being unemployed is probably the best thing for everyone's safety. Also, I think probably, if you think about it, behavior like that contradicts the values of any decent business. That sexual kind of stuff, in a way you could say, cheapens people. Not everyone may agree with this, but people, every human being, regardless of gender or whatever, is for more than just show. And I think if you think about it more, it's discrimination. Because probably not just any person will be eyeballed or looked at in that sort of way or treated that sort of way. I'm not saying it would be okay if everyone was looked at that way or thought of that way or treated that way. I guess I'm saying, it could make others who aren't as quote-unquote pretty or whatever feel a lot more like crap about themselves, feel like they're nothing or whatever. And sex isn't everything. It's just a little thing compared to the other more important aspects of an interpersonal relationship, even a romantic one, if applicable. And I guess you can think of examples on your own. Well, I think that's going to be it for me today. If you think I wasn't as good solo, I think you're probably right. But Jordan wasn't available, and he did the show once on his own before, so I figured I'd give it a try. But I think we should be back together again, the two of us, next time. If not, I guess she'll see when it happens. Well, that's all the more layers we've got for now. For now, you can check out all our episodes on our Facebook, our YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Enjoy, and unless something comes up, see you next week. Here's a preview of what's coming up on More Layers. All that and more starting now.